Okay, we do have the final numbers. Director Jacobs, did you want to comment, and then we can take a vote?
I can. What we have before you is the three resolutions tonight. The first one, Resolution R29-18, will set the taxing levy for 2019 budget year with the reductions of the 51,500 that were made to the levy between the general fund and the recycling fund. That brought the levy amount then down to the levy amount that you're setting tonight would be $10,261,614. And then when you add in the tax incremental districts, it's in this first paragraph that says that the purpose of paying the city of Menasha operating expenses for the year 2019, there is hereby levied on all taxable property in the city of Menasha in the amount of $11,526,153.52. If you back out the tax incremental financing district funds, then that would get you to the levy amount of $10,261,614. And on the tax rate amount for that, remember we were at the 1094 for Winnebago County residents. That levy rate now is $10.8899. And for Calumet County, it had dropped from the amount of 11.0938, and that will drop to 11.0384. Just as a side note with Calumet County, if you remember a couple years ago, they had a reassessment done, or in last year, a year ago, they had the reassessment done out there. So for the previous years, they were at a 1065 rate and then only went up a year ago to 10.71. So they only went up a 5-cent increase, whereas Winnebago County went up 25 cents from 1057 to 1082. Now it flips around this year because of the assessment valuation change versus what the state's doing with the equalized value, and that's where we're planning on doing you've approved already tonight to go ahead with the full-blown reassessment for next year, so that all of the tax rates will all be very similar together for both Winnebago County and Calumet County.
So I should have asked for the short version.
So, could I ask you a question?
Sure.
For Calumet County, it went up from what to 11.04?
Last year was at 10.7057.
Okay,
And it's going up to 11.0384.
gotcha. So 1071 to 1104.
Correct.
Thank you.
And Winnebago County side was going from 10.8184 up to 10.8899. That's
you.
like about 8 cents.
Ooh, 8 cents.
Alderman Sevnik?
I want to kind of address District 8 then too, and John, we talked a little bit, and this council got a memo about the utility, the Harrison utility, putting their levy on, Randy, your district, and if we could take that off, because I don't know why we're providing that service, that might be able to reduce that.
Thank you for bringing it up. On the haste here, I just totally forgot about mentioning that. In previous year's resolutions, you had included in here a levy line for the Waverly Sanitary District. The state had said that they do not exist for the December 2018 tax levy. However, we did receive a letter from Harrison Utilities asking us to collect $75,000. However, they, and some of the information they had submitted into the PSC, Wisconsin Public Service Commission, said that there were agreements and things in place with us in Appleton. And Attorney Captain reminds me there are not any intergovernmental agreements there. So if Waverly Sanitary District cannot certify a tax levy amount and they provide us a notification for public fire protection, we had already given them notice some weeks ago, and then they responded, and then they sent us the letter anyway. So I know that Attorney Captain and I are kind of will meet, we've already reached out to them, and I think, or the mayor, I think maybe had with
I
a letter.
responded to them again today. I sent them the letters back and asked them to have their attorney contact our attorney.
Right. So last year, there was a 63 cents on your tax, on the District 8's tax bill for the Waverly Sanitary District. This year, I did not include in the resolution, since Waverly Sanitary District does not exist and there's no intergovernmental agreement, 63 cents comes off of the rate. So even though the city of Menasha's share will be going up a little bit, the Waverly Sanitary District will come off. It was a fifth line on your tax bill. That will be, just like the state did a year ago, the state amount was very small, like 10 cents or 15 cents, really small, that came off last year. There will be no number there for, at least that's our anticipation right now, no rate, no levy amount for the Waverly Sanitary District.
We can't like shut our water off or assess us a charge or anything?
You want to address that one, Josh?
There are rules against just shutting off water and sewer. They're governed by the PSC, so anything that they do would have to go through them. And no, we do not believe that they can just
Okay.
shut off our water. How they are going to collect that $75,000 is not something that we are fully aware of how they're going to be able to do it. But at the same time, we're not required to collect that tax.
So they could actually have like a wheel tax just for the people who live in Calumet County from the city of Menasha, in some respects.
Not for that.
No?
No,
Okay.
because they are governed by the PSC, anything that they do has to be fair for all of their customers.
Okay.
So,
So typically, the way this works, in the other half of the city, there's a fee within your water bill that
Okay,
says fire protection charge, and it's a monthly fee.
okay,
They decided at some point before, I don't know, before I was around, that they would have a tax levy instead, and the city of Menasha agreed to collect that tax levy instead of having that fire protection fee on your water bill.
okay.
And now, since they are no longer a town sanitary district, we have no agreements with them to collect that fee anymore.
Okay,
They made the decision to change into a utility district.
Yep.
So that's why we sent them that letter back in September.
but so the city won't collect the money, but they're gonna try to collect the money
Well,
from
they'll
us.
have to, but
They
why
will-
should we?
Well,
They will
right,
likely do that.
But it still would be, the people in my district would still end up paying more.
But it won't be on their taxes.
It would be
Oh.
part of their water bill,
Okay,
so
okay,
potentially. I don't know what
Okay.
they'll do, but
all right,
that's their decision, not
Okay.
ours as a common council.
okay, all right, thank you.
Did you have something else too, Stan? Or that's it?
I brought that.
Any further discussion?
What percent did this go up?
Alderman
Figure out
Nichols?
the percentage.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Jacobs, the median home value in the city of Menasha is $120,000. What does this new tax rate mean, not only for this year, but how does it compare to last year? Does my question make sense?
Yes,
Thank
yes, it
you.
does. The dollar amount or for this year's, for average house, 120,000 for city taxes only would be $1,306.79. And if we compare that to our rate from a year ago, that would be $1,298.21. So that would be a change of roughly $8.58.
$8.
$8.58 of a change, increase,
8 cents.
for just the city portion. Sure.
The question was, what would it be for Calumet County? That was,
That's just
that
for the
was not
people that are
from,
watching online.
that was not my question. It came from another alderman.
Okay, for Calumet County, Last year, if it was a $120,000 home, the taxes would have been $1,284.68. And for this year, with the rate of 11.04, it would be $1,324.61. So that's an increase of $39.93 for the city portion.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for that. I'm going to speak of the Winnebago portion because that's the rate that I have, the proposed increase that I have on the budget before the cuts were made today. And what we were looking at a $120,000 home was a $14.40 increase on the city tax portion of their bill. And essentially, that has not quite been cut in half this evening. To think that $14.40 isn't manageable for most people, I think, is a bit of a stretch. The proposed budget had a 1.6% increase in expenditures, when it could have had a 3% increase in expenditures. That was information provided by the state of Wisconsin. Money was left on the table. $100,000 in salaries and wages were allocated to other accounts rather than the levy that don't have a home for next year. And now we've reduced $51,500 from the current budget. I'm concerned with the planning looking ahead. Not to mention the health insurance costs that we can't begin to estimate for 2020. We have a budget, it was presented, that dips into the general fund to fund services, and that's something that just can't continue time and time again to the tune of $200,000 a year. Where is that going to come from? We've now lowered the floor. We've given ourselves a self-inflicted wound that we will not be able to overcome. And while it may not affect staffing and services next year for the 2020 budget, it could very well in the future. I offered 2 opportunities to pay for some projects up front instead of borrowing and paying interest on loans over time, and both of those were rejected. That is what I call kicking the can down the road. When you have an opportunity to pay for something up front, most people would take that opportunity instead of putting it on the credit card. So I will not be voting for this budget. I'm concerned how it sets Menasha up for the future in a time when we should be investing all that we can in our community. Thank you.
Alderman Teal?
Thank you, Mayor. Well, there's another big self-inflicted wound coming. It's called the Racine Street Bridge, and that's another $200,000, but that's for another year, another budget, and we're going to have to try to deal with that. Josh, what would it take to get that? Alderman Sevenick spoke about this early on in the budget, that psychological dollar amount when you hit 11. What would it take to drop that Calumet County down below that $11 mark? So what, 1104?
It probably would be like another $50,000.
Oh, that much, huh?
Yes, because I could remember every penny is roughly equivalent of about $10,000 on the expenditure side, on the spending side.
Okay. Any one of you guys want to give us 50,000 out of here?
This evening, I'm going to be voting for the budget because this is the most appropriate way of, for a council to deal with a budget. Last year, I voted against it after spending countless hours and making minor cuts, and then only to have those cuts taken away and raising the levy on our taxpayers. I find that inappropriate. I would say to Alderman Nichols, I would agree with you if you would have made any cuts, but you voted against every one of those and then turned around and then wanted to put it into a borrowing package. So for all those who voted for those, you did a great job this evening. Had you made those cuts and then did that, that would have been a different story. Your argument would have been a good argument, but you voted against all those. I don't appreciate that.
Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to remind everybody that we do have to look long-term. I mean, the tax rate in Randy's district will go up, but again, we're reassessing the whole entire city. And we discussed this, it's just going to be a temporary increase because all the tax rate will decrease after the reevaluation. And the way it was explained, it's actually going to drop significantly. I don't know, John, if you could quickly figure out what the drop might be in Calumet County. But moreover, as a council, I mean, this city has had a lot of stuff to overcome over the past couple decades. And I think this is a decent budget. It's a step in the right direction. Is what's going on sustainable long-term? No, but that's what we have to do. We have to figure out how we're going to handle this in the future. And as John has explained in past meetings, the future's starting to look a little bit better and better each year to try to start managing our budget, managing the city in a better way. And we just have to get over this last hump. And John said it many times, starting in 2020, it's going to be amazing what we're going to be able to start doing to get a grasp on stuff. But we all have to keep, we just can't look short term on this stuff. We can't look 6 months down the road or even a year down the road. We have to keep our eyes open for 5 years down the road and 10 years down the road. So even though the tax rate is still going up just a minor bit, again, after the reassessment, it's gonna drop quite a bit. And it's gonna make us actually competitive in the eyes of anybody that wants to move to the community again. Which is a great thing. I think we're doing the right thing. We're moving down the right road. We just have to keep our eye on the ball and just not get distracted anymore.
Anyone else?
Did you want us to pull that little chart up at all, or not?
If you want. We did put together a graph showing what, oh, there it is, right there. Some projections for the equalized and assessed tax rate. So you can see that goes 10 years before and after 2019. The top one is the equalized rates, and the bottom one is the assessed rates. So you can see on the bottom one how the assessed rates are going up year after year and not matching the equalized. It's going down. Once we do that reassessment, there is, I can't quite read it, about $1.50 drop is what we're looking at for next year. That was assuming a 2% increase in the operating budget, was it a $25,000 increase in debt service? And it also assumed that we would be receiving about, geez, I'm trying to remember what the number is, $600-some thousand from the closure of TIP 6 annually, and a pilot somewhere in the several $1,000s mark from the Appleton water plant that we had started talking about. So everything but that pilot is pretty much there and ready to go. And you can see that the rates are fairly flat after that. We have another TIF closing in, is it 2022, John?
Correct. TIF number 6 would be closing. That would add another $160,000 to the annual tax levy.
And then the next one is in 2027, then, I would believe.
There's a little baby one, TIF 4 would be closing in 2025. That's only bringing about $29,000 of additional tax levy. But then, as the mayor said, 2027, that's the big one. TIF 9, that's about $386,000. And then the last year there, for 2028, that is when $1,250,000 of the steam plant debt falls off. So you can see there is light at the end of the tunnel here. With the reassessment, it's very unlikely we'll ever get back to the tax rate level. If we all are in this together, controlling spending and keep focusing on additional revenue sources, and we can have Director Kinney just go and assist us with all the grants she can possibly come out of her wheelhouse. But no, there is light at the end of the tunnel there, and you can just see there is a course here. We're on track, doing the right things going forward, and as we work all together as a team, we can get there. The steam plant will go away.
Alderman Nichols, did you have another comment?
I do, thank you, Mayor. And we knew that weeks ago when we started the budget process. So what happened this evening wasn't entirely necessary. And the minutes will indicate that I did not vote against every single reduction.
Okay. Seeing no other comments, so that we have a motion on the floor that was amended, I don't know, about 10 times or so. And the resolution that John put in front of you has the numbers then that have updated, reflecting your motion, your amendments. So if we could, are we ready to go?
Yep.
Okay. This is on the budget as amended.
Motion carried on roll call 6-2.
Ted, you'll take personnel?
Yep, so, yep,
Want to go back to?
we have the two personnel committee items at this point.
Okay, I'll go back to those.
Get to read it.
Okay, I'll move for the motion of accepting the maintaining the same insurance program level of benefits to the employees in 2019 with the elimination of the out-of-network coverage with the continuation of the HRA component, increase in funding the HRA level to 40% from the previous 35%, and increase the maximum out-of-pocket expenses to employees by a potential $1,000 single or $2,000 all other plans by utilizing a co-insurance component after the deductible levels have been met, and to provide health insurance at the rates and terms listed in the memo dated 11/13/18. In addition, the cost of the city's health insurance program to retired employees include both 100% of the premium cost and 100% of the HRA administration, and the HRA 40% funding for 2019.
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Sevenick. Any further discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please. Ooh, that's a long one.
It is. Wow.
Could you repeat that?
Too late.
Looks like we got it all. Motion carried on roll call 7-1.
Alderman Grady.
I'll also move for the acceptance of the 2019 wage/salary increases of 2.25% and a 7.5% health insurance employees premium share for non-representative employees as included in the 2019 budget as per memo dated 11/13/18.
Second.
It's a motion and a second by Alderman Sevenick. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, if we could have a roll call vote, please. Gotta figure out what's left. Did you break it? Oh, no. Do we need to start it
I
over?
can do restart.
Does that help?
Yeah, they're all blinking now.
Blinking red. Okay, so Mark, you have to. No, but you do have to vote, because I reset it. Motion carried on roll call 5-3.
So we are on K3. No, K4. Do we have a motion for Resolution 30? Oh, I'm sorry, Steve. Alderman Kruger.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make a motion to approve Resolution R-30-18, a resolution of the City of Menasha adopting its general special revenue, capital projects, debt service, enterprise, and internal service funds and component units in the 2019 budgets, introduced by Mayor Merkes.
Is there a second?
Second.
There's a motion and a second by Alderman Langdon. Is there any discussion? Are you ready? Oops, Alderman Nichols? Go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor. Director Jacobs, this is something a little bit different than we've been presented in the past, I think. Could you just tell us, recap what this is?
Sure. This is something I introduced last year, my first year here,
Okay.
to have the appropriation level for all funds being approved by the governing body, which would be this Common Council. So you've got every single fund listed here with the spending expenditures authority that is allowed for all of the departments going forward for the 2019 year. It's grouped by the general fund, then it's got all the special revenue funds outlined. It's got all the capital project funds with the grand total, debt service, enterprise funds, the two of them there, the 4 internal service funds, and 5 internal service funds. And then we can't forget the RDA, the Redevelopment Authority. So this is the approving the expenditure level. So as the year goes on, if there are changes to any of these funds, we would come back to you for either increases or decreases for budget adjustments during 2019.
And this incorporates the changes that were done this evening?
Yes, the general fund was reduced by 49,000. The recycling was reduced by 2,500. Then on the back page, the capital improvements fund for capital projects increased 7,800. TIF District number 10, 11, and 12 each increased by $1,500. And then the stormwater utility increased by 7,500. So all the changes you made tonight are all included in here.
Thank you.
Yes.
Seeing no further discussion, if we could have a roll call vote, please.
Motion carried on roll call 7-1.
Item 5 is Resolution 31. Do we have a motion? Alderman Kruger?
Thank you, Mayor. I'll make the motion to approve Resolution R-31-18, a resolution authorizing 2019 general obligation borrowing and the issuance of certificate of indebtedness and levying a tax in connection therewith.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Ready?
Yep.
If we could have a roll call vote, please.
Motion carried on roll call 7-1.
Item N is public comments on any matter listed on the agenda. If you each take 5 minutes, we might hit midnight. Any takers?
Remember, Alderman Taylor's motion's still viable about coming in at 1.
Oh, I wish.
I'll change that motion. Basically coming back 2 o'clock.
So seeing no one, I will accept a motion to adjourn. Is that Randy?
Steve and-
Ted.
Steve and Ted?
Ted and Steve. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you.